has been. Is there a method to his madness? Let's look at it from a data perspective, and to do all that, let's welcome Sridhar Chityala ji. Sridhar ji, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel. How are you, sir?
Namaskar. Good to see you, sir. I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for asking. And we have the flags flying the different way across two of our backgrounds.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. One is day and one is night, just to reflect that we are on two sides of the continent. And Sridhar ji, let's jump right in. We have looked at some data. We have got a slide deck here. So I leave the floor to you. Let's go through that and find out what exactly is he up to. Sir.
Great. Thank you. So I think nicely framed the method to Trump's madness. And I think all of us are witnessing several of his programs, rattling the markets, rattling the countries, rattling internally within United States, markets gyrating, pulling back. But he's relentless in his pursuit. He came very clearly with a political capital, and he's pushing his agenda through. So we look at it in two ways. What are the broad areas that we are touching on? And many of these areas, there has been opinion polls taken by major channels like Fox and so on. And we present some of the data, and then we'll give a narrative and probably have a discussion with Sree and probably take a few questions. So what are the areas? I think the top headline, when we go to the next slide, the tariffs. The tariffs is the biggest kind of global attention, and it rattled many countries. We are now at a pause till July, and we can see that there are negotiations going on simultaneously with various countries. And since there's a lot of people from India, the Treasury Secretary has gone on record and stated that India may be the first country that will sign the deal with United States, which is very good news as far as those who are looking at it from an Indian angle. Obviously, the battle with central bank, which pushed the markets down for 3 days, he said, he is too little, too late. Mr. Too little, too late was the comment that he made. And then, of course, he retracted and said, I'm not going to fire the central bank governor, which calmed the markets. This is the battle on interest rates. He feels that United States is at a very high rate, given there has to be an economic kind of an agenda, which means credit expansion needs to occur, and the rates has to come down from 4.25% to somewhere close to at least below 3%. But the markets, the central bankers are not willing to accept. They say that the inflation is still hanging around, so therefore there's an issue. Now, on the economic policies, we'll present a slightly different set of data, which is getting masked by vast mainstream media for obvious reasons. But the general trend is, because of the tariff situation, inflation is looming, rates are high. So, and the projected GDP growth for United States has been brought by about 1.1%. So people have got issues. Obviously, tariffs means inflation. There is a tax reduction agenda at play, both on the corporate and personal side. The question is how he is going to fund it, already on a balance sheet that is out of control on the debt side. Then the eviction programs, he comes up with a set of policies. They try to send people, and then, the local federal courts try to block. So there's a whole gang of Venezuelans who were being taken to the airport, and then they got the news, and then they pulled back the buses that they can't be. But we also had a judge stopping an eviction of a criminal, and Pam Bondi, she issued the orders for the arrest of the judge because he's violating.
She is in jail. She is in jail, and they have a ton of evidence against her. This is going to be a difficult one. I think it's a warning for some of these guys who think no end of their power. Sir, over to you.
Exactly. The DEI programs, I think they're being, this is the whole kind of, diversity, equality, inclusive program is being, is taken out because I think, as you all know, it's been abused. The DOGE programs is rolling out in full-fledged, which is the Department of Government Efficiency programs, and many things have come out as of the DOGE programs. You can see that this is how he came into winning the elections, and came in, and he would be addressing these issues rather than expenses running out of control. Foreign policies, I think, has made it very clear, contrary to the issues around what was going on with Russia and Ukraine. He has told the war has to stop. United States is not a free cup of coffee, and he's not going to fund. He's basically told the Iranians, no more. If you want to have peace, then you come and negotiate on your nuclear programs and other things. So he's stepping up the policy. Obviously, China is the target, very specifically at this stage, not on South China Sea, not on Taiwan, but on the tariffs. China stands kind of isolated. He has quickly, found the same set of people who were his allies in the first term. There's no surprise here. Japan, India, Taiwan, Korea, Vietnam, etc. Australia and UK also possibly will align. Obviously, the French president came in and aligned. The first person who came and met him when he took over was Benjamin Netanyahu. Then you have support for global institutions. He never had support because he thinks that they were wasting, and he has stopped funding. United Nations, WHO. I think there's going to be a lot more investigations into some of this funding, most notably the user funds, and they're going to come out and state that look how the taxpayers' money have been used. And some of the things that has come out from the Dodge programs would be very, very, when you already seen it. And I think some of the monologues of Sree Iyer has covered some of these topics as to the complete and total abuse. As far as India is concerned, he made one specific comment. Well, we don't have to spend $25 million from United States or $22 million from United States for the Indian people to come and vote. This is basically the woke and the what I don't know what you want to call the incorrect programs that were targeted to interfere with the Indian elections. This is what he was pointing to. But the number is much bigger in terms of what has been spent in India, and probably they're still trying to do few things from United States with vested interest from India participating in it. You all know we covered this in DGI programs on some of the George Soros, Pierre Omidyar, some of the other foundations, which have been targeting India, and billions of dollars have been sunk. Where that money is, nobody knows, but billions of dollars have been sunk. These were all kind of identified as part of this funding that happened through global institutions. Of course, the Palestinian funding, the Gaza funding, some of the funding in African countries, some of the funding to Ukraine. You were all the beneficiaries. I think these things. So he's not going to be supporting any of the global efforts. He's also told NATO, pay for use. He has told ASEAN, we have supported you now, and we have also supported you on trade. You need to come to the table. Same with Japan and same with Korea, which is the DMZ, which separates between North Korea and South Korea, is funded by United States. So he's saying, okay, look, we got an out of control balance sheet. We can't keep funding for others when we have problems in our own country. Russia, Ukraine is very clearly by the side of Russia. It doesn't support. I think there would have been a meeting today with Volodymyr Zelensky in coinciding with the funeral in Rome. I think he's giving a clear indication there's no free lunch anymore. Please go to the negotiating table and come to a conclusion. He has been from day one a big supporter of Israel, and I think that's the right thing. Israel is a strategic partner. So the question, therefore, is when we did a big coverage, myself and Sree, on the whole elections and the outcome of the elections, and then post we talked about the policies. Is President Trump's strategy working? Yes, in some areas it is. In some areas it is not. But it's only 100 days. So nothing greater than asking the people to give an opinion, and some of it maybe depending on the sample size, some of it maybe the media kind of propping up the data, but here's the data for you. Okay, on the border security, he's clearly winning, which is namely everybody wanted security for jobs and security for their societies and communities. He's got more than 55% approval. Now, these sample sizes include both Democrats and Republicans. We have not given you the bifurcation amongst the Republicans and amongst Democrats. Is overall sample, which is Fox News poll. Foreign policy has got 40% approval and 54% disapproval based on this, some of the China issues and some of the Russia-Ukraine issues. Economy, because of the tariffs, these three areas, economy, tariffs, and inflation, he has got relatively lower numbers because of the current situation. But once the resolutions occur and the tariffs are expected from a market's point of view, they are factoring the tariffs to settle at an average 20% from a current 5%. If he achieves the 20% number, then I believe that he would have gone a long way in pulling back and clawing back some of the things that will help him to fund the programs. There's a very important data which we'll share at the end of the presentation, right? So which will substantiate why we are saying this. On overall, 44% approve, which is lower than in his when he took reins, which was more than 55%. But you can expect given the circumstances, but still 44% is considered a healthy number in the first 100 days, especially when his policies are extremely tough and forceful, exactly contrarian to what happened in the prior 4 years.
Next one, please.
So this is again a Fox poll number. To say where is the Congressional Democrats' approval rating, especially amongst the youth. Youth is a very important segment of the Democratic Party, and the small business is a very important segment of the Republican Party. So when you take a look at the numbers now, relative to 2017 and 2020, something has gone dramatically wrong within the Democratic Party. The 30-year-olds or 30 years and less, their numbers is at 23%. It's probably an abysmal number, but that reflects that there is a policy crisis within the Democratic Party, and the policies of the Democratic Party are not resonating with the youth of the country.
Next one, please, sir.
This is the overall across various presidents. As you can see at this stage, the highest is around 54%, and Trump on a relative scale is around 40% or 44%, depending on how you see the number. But he's not bothered by it, and he is very clear. He says, "I'm focused once my tariffs and once I get the capital into the country for creating jobs, people will begin to respect my views and resonate, and the markets will rebound." By the way, there's one important data point too. It's not a markets chart. The whole construct of that United States will enter recession, it's fast dissipating. Okay, so that sentiment is gone. United States this year, from a market's point of view, may achieve either parity compared to where we started in 2024, or may go up by a very small percentage. The small percentages could be between 5 to 10% or less than 5%, as the case may be, depending on the time of the day. And we may also share on a separate show how the markets took a rile, and people don't look behind the data. When you actually look behind the data, there's few trades that occurred. We call it as the shorting of the market, as is the appropriate times. And that pulled the trigger, and that is exacerbated in the numbers that you see in the markets. So I think once we share that data, once we get to that, we will be in a position to, you will be in a position to understand that better. But we won't be covering that in this show today. But the most important economic data, right, which is not highlighted and publicized, as to when you have such a huge debt in the balance sheet, which you are trying to bring it down, when you have huge trade deficit with almost every country that you work with. So how are the jobs and how is the economic impetus going to be created? Now, this is where that data is not being shared or presented. Already, United States has got a commitment of $3.3 trillion of investments in very important sectors, and this ranges from countries to institutions. So investments are flowing in the gas and oil sector, which is a very important sector. Investments are flowing in from the semiconductor and high-end electronics, which is again a very important sector. Investments are flowing into the AI, which is the kind of the big engine in the room. and is also getting imports at a concessional price on the very important pharma and chemical sector, which United States requires. And how has this come about? It's come about because he has negotiating capacity with several of the countries. So United Arab Emirates, Japan, Saudi Arabia, and India. Believe it or not, India has committed a significant investment. Another important data point is that yesterday, the Treasury Secretary has confirmed the first country with whom we are likely to announce a trade deal and a tariff agreement is India. We have a very strong relationship with India. There are not too many trade barriers between the two countries. We have complementary requirements, and India has committed to invest, and they are willing to also be accommodative in market access. So therefore, India may be the first country, which again augurs very well if you're looking at it from the Indian side. Next slide. Yes. You can see the numbers. India has committed $310 billion of investment, substantive, number 3 in number. 600 billion from Saudi Arabia and 1 trillion from 1 trillion from, I think it's from United Arab Emirates, but I think Japan has also committed a significant amount of
Let's
investment.
say top 5. Yeah.
Which is a very, so UAE, Japan, Saudi Arabia, and India have committed substantive. They are the big leaders in committing investments on the Alaska gas, which is stopped and investments dried up for almost 6 years. A consortium of Japan, Korea, Vietnam, and Taiwan have committed $45 billion of investment and basically commit to an X amount of supply of gas from the Alaskan basin. I think India may be also part of it, and I think that the big industries from India, I mean, I don't need to, the names, they are part of the $300 billion investment into United States. Now, next slide. So this is the breakup as of January, but these numbers have changed. What we presented earlier is the March or April 2025 numbers. But when he took power, these are the numbers: UAE 1.4 billion, Saudi 600. Then companies, you can see Apple, Nvidia, SoftBank, they all have committed investments into United States, into expansion of plant and machinery. These are capital. This is a substantive investment. This is not coming through the balance sheet of the US government. It is coming from countries and institutions which have substantial business stake in United States. This has been hogwashed by the woke media, but the numbers tell you a staggering story where the GDP growth is likely to occur, and they will occur in two forms. One is capital, second is credit expansion, and credit expansion can only occur when your rates are in favorable territory. Otherwise, people are not going to borrow at 4.5% to expand their business. This is the battle with the central bank.
Thank you so much, sir. And before we go to questions, we have a few questions, Sridharji. I just wanted to give our viewers a sneak preview. PGurus is planning a trilogy of episodes, short stories, less than 10 minutes each, about Mathura, the city of Mathura, and its glorious past. And I'm going to show you a teaser of the first episode. It's just a very short teaser, about 50 seconds long. Let's have the teaser, please, and full screen. Okay, so we have put a, sir, you are a connoisseur of music. What do you think?
No, I think it's brilliant, very well done and exceptional, very contextual and very relevant kind of topic. Very important that this is brought out, rejig and reignite the spirit of what Bharat Desha is about. Fantastic, Sree.
Thank you so much, sir. Let's go to some questions. This will be released in a couple of days, viewers. I want your strong support for this one. It took us a month to do a 10-minute video, and like we really sweated bullets to get it to this point. So I would really appreciate it if you also like this video and also share it among your friends, because we are trying a new thing here to try and bring back how life was 5,000 years ago. Let's go to the questions, please. 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗘𝗥𝗘𝗙 Digital wants to know, why madness? He is doing what is best for the country. He should look in the long-term goals for our future generations. He's cleaning the mistakes of previous ones.
Agreed, 100%. But it's a narrative that is that at least vast number of people perceive to be madness, and you can understand who these people are. They've all benefited by this what I call as endless free cash, and people have climbed on the back of it. And I think United States has faced the brunt of the consequences, with vast amount of its balance sheet directed towards what we call as social and interference, and in the process creating the debt that it has created. United States debt was about 24 trillion not too long ago, or 20 trillion not too long ago. Now we have gone to 36 trillion, and the gap between income and expenses, or receipts and expenditure, is about 1.6, 1.8 trillion dollars, and growing. And the interest cost is around 1 to 1.2 trillion dollars on the debt, as a result of it being north of 30%. So therefore, I think it has gone out of whack. The so-called inflation reduction programs and so-called infrastructure improvement programs, you can see through 𝗏𝗏 programs, vast amount of money diverted for non-economic and political agenda purposes. Close to 6 billion illegals came in, and many of them is funded by the government. What is the reason? And this is the reason why the current thing that, as you rightly pointed out, 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗘𝗥𝗘𝗙 Digital, that why do you call madness? But then some people still perceive it as madness. We may not perceive it as a madness.
𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗘𝗥𝗘𝗙 Digital again, please urge citizens through your channel not to take live videos of our army or navy details and put it on social media, just like 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗘𝗥𝗘𝗙 did in Mumbai. Let the army and navy do their best. Yes, indeed. I think this journalism has to be very responsible also. And we're going to be doing tomorrow a program with General Ravi Shankar, as we kind of game out how this is going to play out as far as India is concerned, in terms of what does India exactly want from this, and how is it going to get it. So very thoughtful stuff that we're going to be doing with General Ravi Shankar. So come join us for that. Next question, please. Anand Vasudevan, would Trump support India with weapons if there is a war?
I think the answer is yes. I think, again, we covered through one of the DJI programs, the first list of vast amount of weaponry to machinery to other kinds of capabilities that India placed on the order list, and it got immediately approved. Absolutely, I think that's the case. And 𝗤𝗏𝗏 𝗔𝗏𝗏𝗏, who is the Secretary for National Intelligence, has stated that United States will provide all support and evidence to track down the killers or terrorists.
Next one, please. Thank you, Vignesh Prabhu. USA has to devalue dollar to achieve all its goals. Sir, what are your thoughts?
No, I think valuation or devaluation is a market pricing discovery. Is not something that United States is going to interfere with its currency and manipulate its currency. We have already kind of indicated this, which is namely that United States is coming up with a basket of assets to hedge its dollar. So should somebody try to attempt to short it? So now the question that you're asking is remember, it's a double-edged sword. So US devalues its kind of dollar. What then will happen to the kind of export-import imbalances? Well, that's why you use markets and you use agreement on tariffs, and you have an agreement on access to markets. So devaluation can occur as long as that there is a fair trading mechanism between two nations. This is what I think President Trump is trying to accomplish. You cannot just have a devaluation of currency without other factors offsetting, other factors being offset. The whole construct of World Trade Organization, if you haven't got the drift of it, is going to be soon or sooner be redundant with all these bilateral agreements that are going to come into play. Remember, going back, we covered 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we covered the whole construct of why India refused to sign agreements with many of the regional and local alliances, because they felt that they already have bilateral agreements. The way the world is going to go is more and more bilateral free trade agreements rather than a 𝗏𝗡𝗍 and topsy-turvy construct called world trade and free trade, broad global agreements.
Rajiv Shashidharan wants to know, from the limited knowledge I have, Trump has been saving grace for our nation, Bharat, from being brainwashed every day to now thinking, who's the danger? Jai Hind.
I think that certainly Trump has been with India, and Vance has been with India. Many people within the current administration are, proactive and supporters of the Indian policy. They recognize that India has been at the wrong end of the stick. I mean, the Democrats, I think we tried to cover through so many targeting even Indian American Democrats to say, look at the policies fairly, don't look at it in an unjust manner that you're kind of looking at. Last 4 years, and even during the Obama 8 years, India bore the brunt of discrimination across a number of factors in terms of incorrect input. Sriji, you have been covering not just through DJI but through other channels, and you've also been advocating to some of the Indian American Democrats and other Democrats as to what is wrong with their policies.
Correct. Thank you, sir. Next one. Sparkly Spritz wants to know, is there any disagreement that with the trade wars or reshoring of supply chains, interest rates have to go down, 100% go down?
No, interest rate going down has to do with credit expansion in respective countries. If you have a fair tariff agreement, then what happens is that the import export continues. Now, as far as changes to the suppliers in the value chain, if they are not part of the value chain, then it will be addressed. For example, United States or Apple is not going to use India for 100% of supply of iPhones. It still is reliant to a good extent on China, but it will reduce the level of dependency by augmenting it through an alternate market so that there's continuity of supply to meet the demand. So to that extent, there will be rejig of the supply chains. And supply chains have been rejigging, and it's going on right, from almost 2018, 2019, or even from the Trump era to COVID and post-COVID era, and that will kind of continue as an integral part of the normalization or the rebalancing. As far as the interest rates are concerned, interest rates are directly correlated to inflation. And inflation can be caused by a number of things: debt, excess cash in the market, lack of economic activity, which has demand supply imbalance, etc. So all those things play a part. So interest rates is on the monetary side of demand and supply rather than purely on the supply chains.
Ravi Shankar wants to know, sir, Donald Trump is replicating Rahul Gandhi, albeit he is a president committed to US, unlike anti-India leader of opposition party.
I don't know, sir. You can answer this question, Sriji.
I have no clue where Ravi Shankar ji is coming from in this one. So sorry, Ravi Shankar ji. Next one, please. Kumar wants to know, fantastic Mathura trailer. A small question, how did the violin get there? Violin isn't an Indian instrument in the first place. And secondly, violin is an instrument, it's just 400 years old. Very valid point, Kumar. This is where AI sometimes fails us. We have done our best to try and replicate a sarangi. Now, sarangi is 3 strings, and it's also a stringed instrument, just like the veena. I'm sorry, just like the violin. And in fact, somebody had guessed that that tune was Vrindavana Saranga. Well, you're very, very close. It is Shuddha Saranga. And you're going to see more of this. This is a teaser. This is a musical feast for those of us who like to have music. Kanix and I work very, very hard to get this theme also. I have a lot of pride in doing this because it's not something that comes easily, and a lot of things have to come together, and I'm very, very happy with the way things have come together for this one. So please do watch it and then share it. Next question, please. Sridhar ji, namaskar from Maithili. There is no news of illegal deportation now. Is it happening? Oh, yes, absolutely. Close to 100,000 now. Yeah.
It's happening, and it's happening. Not only it's happening, there is a what we call as an open voluntary registration program with CBP, Center for Border Patrol. And that list for voluntary deportation and voluntary departure from the country, that is also growing because people are being tracked. The benefits that they got is being cut. And now there's a lot of interventions in a lot of the states. So people feel this free ride that was guaranteed and free cash that was guaranteed, free access to jobs that was guaranteed is no longer there. So many of these people have, no place to live, no place to, nowhere to go to eat, and the funding that they were receiving is cut off. So therefore, under those circumstances, they're better to go back to their own country. And this is clearly kind of well on its way.
Let's see how long since Uncle Sam has cut off his pockets or his, money purse. How long Uncle Soros is going to keep putting this thing? I think Trump is in no hurry. The longer the illegals hang around without jobs, somebody has to keep them in this country, feed them, and give them money and all that stuff. Let's see how long Uncle Soros and the deep state will keep on funding, because they eventually are bankrupting themselves. It's a very good situation to be in my case, in my view. Let's wait and see. Thank you so much, sir, and we'll see you again next Sunday, same time, same place, time permitting. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend.